Dominaria United Commander Spoiler Hype Video number 3. These creatures are so powerful, I'm having to make a lot of videos. So I am trying to get through them as fast as I can, but again, they are powerful, powerful, powerful. So next up is Jensen Carthalion Druid Exile. 1 green, 1 white for a 2/2 legendary human druid. Says whenever you cast a multicolored spell, scry 1. If that spell was all colors, create a 1/1 white angel creature token with flying and vigilance. And for 5 colorless mana, add Wooburg, white, blue, black, red, and green. Yahoo! So definitely a card you want in your all-colored deck. Next up is Two-Headed Hellkite. White, blue, black, green, red, and a colorless for a 5/5 Flying Menace haste. Whenever Two-Headed Hellkite attacks, draw 2 cards. Yeah, this thing can get out of control quick if you can get your Wooburg. But we just talked about Jensen Carthalion, and he can mana fix your Wooburg, which is white, blue, black, red, and green. Next up is a super powerful card that is almost, I'd say, busted. And I'm going to spend some time on this, and this is going to chew up some time for this video. This is Tiller Engine. 2 colorless mana for an artifact creature construct. That's a 1/3. Whenever a land enters the battlefield tapped under your control, choose 1. Untap that land or tap on target non-land permanent an opponent controls. That is powerful and beefy, and I'd almost say busted. Because if you've listened to my land spoiler video for Dominaria United, you're gonna find out that we have a set of common lands that are dual lands that come into play tapped. And also any land that comes into play tapped, which many of your dual lands do. And your triomes. And here is a busted mechanic that it's gonna really mess with people's head. Put out your first land. Doesn't matter what it is. It can even be something that's colorless. You put that out. You put out a Soul Ring. You put this out. Next turn, you put out a Triome. Whoopsie! Mana fix anyone? Next up is Unite the Coalition. 1 white, 1 blue, 1 black, 1 red, 1 green, and 2 colorless. For an instant it reads, choose 5. You may choose the same mode more than once. Target permanent phases out, or target player draws a card, or exiles target player's graveyard, or Unite the Coalition deals 2 damage to any target, or destroy target artifact or enchantment. Every one of those is super banger. So If you can get your Wooburg going, you're all about that. Next up is Philology Wayfarer. 1 green and 2 colorless for a 2/4 human scout. Philology Wayfarer is all colors. This ability doesn't affect its color identity. Multicolored spells you cast have Convoke. Now, if you don't know what Convoke is, your creatures can help cast these spells. Each creature you tap while casting a multicolored spell pays for 1 colorless mana of a color of that creature is. Or is it for 1 colorless mana or 1 mana of a color that creature is? So you can use your other multicolored creatures to help cast your spells. There's a fun card for mana balancing and mana fixing. Next up is Mana Cannons. 1 red and 2 colorless for an enchantment that reads, whenever you cast a multicolored spell, Mana Cannon deals X damage to any target where X is the number of colors that spell is. So if you're casting Wooburg spells, you're dealing 5 damage to any target. Hoo-ha! And it's not legendary, so you can have up to 4 of these bad boys out. That's not gonna be fun. Next up is Iridian Maelstrom. For Wooburg, white, blue, black, red, green is a sorcery. Destroy each creature that isn't all colors. So I guess this is going to be part of the Jared Cathelian deck. It's got stuff that's going to care about creatures that are all colors. Next up is Obsidian Obelisk. 2 colorless mana for an artifact that enters the battlefield. Tap it for 1 colorless mana, or tap it for 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a multicolored spell. Next up is Primeval Spawn. Wooburg and 5 for a 10/10 avatar. If Primeval Spawn would enter the battlefield and it wasn't cast, or no mana was spent to cast it, exile it instead. So there's some. It's got Vigilance, Trample, and Lifelink. Yikes. When Primeval Spawn leaves the battlefield, exile the top 10 cards of your library. Cast any number of spells with total number mana value 10 or less from among them without paying their mana cost. So you can do all sorts of fun things. He's 10 mana, but if you can cheat him in from the graveyard, he hits the battlefield, and because he wasn't cast, he goes out, and you look at the top 10 cards and cast any number of spells with mana value of 10 or less without paying their mana cost. You can have all sorts of fun with that. Next up is Bad River. It's a land that enters the battlefield tapped. Tap it to sacrifice Bad River and search your library for an island or swamp card. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. Now I haven't seen any other cards that are like that, but again, this is another creature card that comes onto the battlefield. Not creature, but another land card that comes onto the battlefield. Tap. Next up is Orca Siege Demon, a beefy 1 black, 1 red, and 5 colors for a 5/5 legendary demon with trample. Whenever another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Orca Siege Demon. When Orca dies, it deals damage equal to its power divided as you choose among any number of targets. Sacrifice shenanigans, anyone? Hoo-ha! Next up is Urza's Ruinous Blast. 1 white, 4 colors for a legendary sorcery. You may only cast a legendary sorcery if you control a legendary creature or planeswalker. Exile all non-land permanents that aren't legendary. Yet another powerful white board wipe. Next up is Primeval's Glorious Rebirth. 1 white, 1 black, and 5 colorless. Legendary sorcery. You may cast the legendary sorcery only if you control a legendary creature or planeswalker. Return all legendary permanent cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. That can be bad if somebody wants to board wipe all your legendaries. And we have Nomad Outpost, a land that Nomad Outpost enters the battlefield tapped. Tap it to add red, white, or black. Another card that Tiller Engine can target, and you have a tri-land, not a triome, because true triomes, and I'll talk about this in my land. I've talked about this in my land spoilers. That this is not a triome; it is a tri-land. There is a distinct difference. Next up is Historian's Boon. 1 white, 3 colorless for an enchantment that reads, whenever Historian's Boon or another non-token enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. Whenever the final chapter ability of a saga you control triggers, create a 4/4 white creature token with flying and vigilance. 4/4 angel every time you complete a saga. And with the new read ahead mechanic, you could put a saga down completed and have a 4/4 angel with a 4/4 flying angel with vigilance. Yahoo! And this isn't any type of legendary thing, so you can have multiples of these out. And when you play the saga, not only that, you get a 1/1 white soldier creature token. Token shenanigans much? Next up is Rabaran Mercenaries. 1 white, 3 colors for a 3/4 human mercenary with vigilance. Rabaran Mercenaries has all activated abilities of legendary creatures you control. What? And they're not legendary, but they have all. I mean, think about Jared Cathelian. Not Jared Cathelian, but some of the other legendaries we've spoken of. Yikes! Emperor Mihal II. 2 blue and 1 colors for a 3/3 legendary merfolk noble. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast merfolk spells from the top of your library. Whenever you cast a merfolk spell, you may pay 1 color. If you do, create a 1/1 blue merfolk creature token. Finally, a lord for merfolk. And I know a lot of people that have been clamoring to play merfolk decks all the way back to when I first got into it, just after Fallen Empires came out, and they had a ton of merfolk, but they didn't really have a merfolk lord. Yahoo! So I'm going to try to hurry up and finish this, and we'll have a nice video. Next up is Activated Sleeper. 1 black, 2 colorless for a 0/0 Phyrexian shapeshifter with flash. You may have Phyrexian. You may have Activated Sleeper. Enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature card that was in a graveyard that was put there from the battlefield this turn, except it's a Phyrexian in addition to its other types. Oh, I just killed your creature? Now I'm going to have my Phyrexian and my Activated Sleeper come back as that creature. Yahoo! Next up is Rosnak, Heir of Rogak. 1 red mana for a 0/1 legendary kobold warrior with battle cry. Whenever this creature attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0 till end of turn. He has heroic mechanic. Whenever you cast a spell that targets Rosnak, Heir of Rogak, create a 0/1 red kobold creature token named Kobolds of Care Keep. So he creates kobolds when you cast the spells that target him. And of course, he's a 0/1, so you're going to want to beef him up. And if you pair him with Rogak, he's a 2/3. And when he attacks, all your other creatures get +1/+0. So he's a fun creature to have in your kobold deck. Hoo-ha! Next up is Beru Wormspeaker. 2 green and 2 colors for a 3/3 legendary human druid. Worms you control get +2/+2 and have trample. And for 7 colorless and a green, tap it, create a 4/4 green worm creature token. This ability costs X less to activate, where X is the greatest power among worms you control. We already talked about a worm in the regular spoilers, so this is a worm lord. If you're playing worm decks, this is a creature that will definitely be in your cube. Next up is Greensleeves, Marrow Sorcerer. 2 green, 3 colorless for an XX or star legendary creature elemental. He has protection from planeswalkers and from wizards. Greensleeves, Marrow Sorcerer's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 3/3 green badger creature token. Yeah, he's powerful. Hoo-ha. And finally is the Mana Rig. For 3 colors, a legendary artifact. Whenever you cast a multicolored spell, create a tapped Power Stone token. It's an artifact that reads, tap it to add 1 colorless mana. This mana can't be cast a non-artifact spell. And for 3x, tap it, look at the top X cards of your library, put up to 2 of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. That seems a bit underwhelming to end the video, but we're at over 20 minutes. We've got to end this video. I thank you for watching all my spoilers. We'll see you in the next video.